Hi guys, this is my speech number 2 on a different culture of a different country. And the country that I've picked to talk about today is Cuba. So to start it off, a brief history, culture background is in 1492, Christopher Columbus set sail the ocean and came across an island that he described in his journal. And what he described was the island was the most beautiful island that he's ever seen. It had beautiful wildlife, beautiful plants, beautiful beaches, beautiful everything you can possibly think of. And this island soon turned out to be Cuba. And according to AuthenticaCuba.com, he set foot on the northern shore of Cuba, which at the time was inhabited by multiple Indian tribes. But not long after, Spaniards got hold of his journal and hold of how he traveled, and soon came over and conquered the island and brought over African slaves, and that brings all of Spaniards to African slaves to the native tribes all together and makes Cuba what it is today, basically. So if you look at the facts of different people and different nationalities and different ways and beliefs and all the things that they have, it ties back into when the Spaniards came over. So other than just being a beautiful island with beautiful people and beautiful wildlife, beautiful atmosphere, and everything they have, one thing that I think is beautiful itself is the way that they hold themselves with their sports. And according to CubaCuban.com, sports is a very important aspect in a young Cuban's life, and none of the other sports are as important as baseball is. And the first game that was constructed in Cuba was on December 27th of 1874, and the game has continued to prosper and inspire the young men and females to constantly play 24/7. And it's now the number one sport there ever since. But by 1878, other than the United States, there has not been any other professional baseball league constructed until then, and which is Cuba. And Cuba has its professional baseball league ever since, and has continued to be upheld and strong, and basically bring people from Cuba to play for people in the United States. And it's crazy because the way that they hold themselves and show how important that sport is to them shows in the way people play here and how they want to prove that everyone in Cuba knows what they want and shows that their culture is strong. And baseball isn't the only sport that they have. They have a prestige boxing league, which is actually pretty intense. And the fact that they broadcast that and send people over here to box, and there's been champions from Cuba that came over here and box, shows that they're strong in anything that they want to put their minds to. So they also have basketball, volleyball, and a few other more sports, which include rowing and a lot more Olympic sports. Another aspect of Cuba that is very beautiful, as Christopher Columbus described, is their music. And according to InsightCuba.com, there are many different styles of music that belong to Cuba, and Cuba is basically a huge Caribbean island melting pot of different styles of music, which also ties back into when the Spaniards came over and conquered and brought the Africans and brought all their beliefs and everything back into it. So, a couple of styles of music that I'm actually relatively familiar with is rumba, which rumba is a dance style type music which is very influenced by drum beats, and the drum beats are there to get you moving and get you excited and get you just moving and feeling the music and feeling yourself, and technically it's there to help you feel free and just loose and nice and going with all the music. Another one is called son, and son is basically a profound African style of music, and it has African rhymes and beats and everything that you would think an African tribe would have, basically. In addition, it's Cuban's national folk music, which is actually really interesting, and it has different ties and heavy tings and vibes of salsa in it as well. And the last but not least is called distinctions. And distinctions are the various types of music from Cuba that are all tied in together in some way and come together to make one big music, basically. It makes a big musical atmosphere and environment, and that's where the festivals come into play. So that is why I chose Cuba, because I can relate and understand why their culture is so strong and so profound. And I hope you guys understand and see how that culture is strong and will be upholding for a long time. Thanks, guys.